Number 21 is a lot like number 7 that we saw earlier in this section, where we were talking about a survey of people and we needed to watch out for bias. Now, obviously here when we're talking about surveying the fish in the pond, we're not actually asking the fish any questions, but we're going to think in a similar way. So what we really care about is whether or not this survey is a random sample of the population. Because if not, there might be bias. That's what we're worried about. So let's look at the question. Let's look at the situation. A study was done on the weights of different types of fish in a pond. A random sample of fish were caught and marked in order to ensure that none were weighed more than once. That sounds pretty good. That's what you want to do. The sample contained 150 largemouth bass, of which 30% weighed more than 2 pounds. So that data point is just the bass, not all the fish. They're narrowing the results here. Which of the following conclusions is best supported by the sample data? Okay. A, the majority of all fish in the pond weigh less than 2 pounds. Well, I don't know anything about the weights of all the fish. I know about the weights of the largemouth bass because that's what they talked about. So even though the overall survey has a random sample, the specific data point that they're pulling out in this question is biased in favor of the largemouth bass. So we only learn that. We only learn about them. We cannot make conclusions about all the other fish because that would be, this is a biased result. So we don't know anything about all of the fish or their weights, so that's no good. Choice B, the average weight of all fish in the pond is approximately 2 pounds. We don't know. We only know about the largemouth bass. So we cannot make conclusions about all of the fish. Choice C, approximately 30% of all fish in the pond weigh more than 2 pounds. No, 30% of the largemouth bass weigh more than 2 pounds, but we don't know enough about the other fish. So that is, again, it's too strong. We need to be careful of strong words like all. We know that from the reading section. And it's especially true on survey questions where we need to be careful whether or not we're extrapolating, going beyond what the actual result is. We only know about the bass, so we need to only answer based on the bass. And sure enough, that's what choice D does. Approximately 30% of all largemouth bass in the pond weigh more than 2 pounds. Why can we make that conclusion? Well, we caught a lot of them. 150 is a good sample size. And because this data is all only about the largemouth bass, we can make a conclusion about largemouth bass in the pond. There are probably more than 150 largemouth bass in the pond, but we have enough information about these 150 that we could make a pretty sizable prediction. It's an accurate prediction about all of the largemouth bass. So we're sticking to the survey. That's how we avoid bias, is we stick to just the data that we're given. Okay, I have said largemouth bass way more than I ever thought I would, but it doesn't matter the story. Think about sample size, think about random samples first, and whether or not there's bias in the result.